Are you tired of student debt and the sky-high tuition in the US? Now more than ever, if you're a high school student about to graduate soon, or if you're considering pursuing a master's degree, you should be considering your options outside of the United States. And I know it might sound overwhelming leaving your whole life behind in order to pursue a degree abroad, but there are tons of countries in Europe that are super international student friendly. And a lot of these countries might not be on a lot of people's radars. Now, for those of you who don't know me yet, hi, my name is Emily. I'm your study abroad bestie with Beyond the States, and today we are going to break down the 5 most underrated destinations for international students to get their degrees abroad in Europe. Now, the first destination we're going to highlight today is Germany. Germany is a super popular destination amongst international students, but I feel like it's not really on a lot of Americans' radars yet. Some of the pros of studying in Germany is that public universities are completely tuition free, yes, even for non-EU students. Instead of paying tuition in Germany, you pay what is a super small semester contribution fee, as they call it, which typically ranges from 150 to 500 euros per semester. That is such a drop in the bucket compared to tuition in the United States. I mean, 150 euros probably wouldn't even cover your campus parking ticket for the entire semester. And there's only one state in Germany that charges international students a tuition fee, and that's Baden-Württemberg, and it's still super low at only 1,500 euros per semester. Study programs are also great in Germany. There's tons of English taught bachelor's and master's programs, and especially if you're interested in fields revolving around STEM, engineering, medicine, Germany is really the place to be. There's tons of jobs in Germany as well, especially in these industries, which is perfect because Germany actually offers a post-grad work visa, so you're able to look for a job for up to 18 months in Germany. And after that, you can easily secure a work visa. Plus, a recent change about Germany, which is absolutely amazing for international students, is that it now offers dual citizenship. So you can have citizenship within the next 5 years of getting your degree and starting your work and career in Germany. Germany is also great for students because it is super centrally located and has a really robust public transport network, so it's super easy to go on day trips or just travel throughout Europe. Now, as always, we're going to keep it real with you, so now we'll go over some of the cons about studying in Germany. First thing, in my opinion, as somebody who studied in Germany myself, is the weather. The weather is super gray and gloomy there, so that's something to keep in mind if you're not used to that environment. However, if you do need a break from the gray and gloom, you're always one ticket away from a flight to Italy or Spain or somewhere warmer. Another thing is that English taught programs are highly competitive. There is often an admissions cap on English taught programs, so that's something to keep in mind. However, I wouldn't let it deter you from studying here or applying to programs here, because you can just always apply to a wide variety of programs and see which ones you're accepted into. Next, if Germany isn't your speed and you're looking for a sunnier destination, then I highly recommend you consider Portugal. Portugal has an affordable cost of living and beautiful Mediterranean lifestyle, and they also offer a lot of English taught programs, especially at a master's level. The culture there is also friendly and welcoming, and they have a growing international student base as well as just a growing international community in general. If you're a beach lover, then you should be considering Portugal because many major cities such as Porto or Lisbon are right on the water, so you're on the Atlantic Ocean. Public universities are also super affordable for international students in Portugal, ranging from approximately 550 euros to 2,500 euros per year. Now, some cons to consider with Portugal is that some of their non-EU tuition fees are starting to get higher as they're attracting more international students from around the globe. Another thing with Portugal is that it's becoming a super attractive destination for digital nomads and foreigners in general from around the world, which means that also the price of rent and other cost of living expenses are increasing. Especially in bigger cities like Lisbon or Porto, you might have a bit of difficulty with finding housing, so I would highly suggest starting earlier in this process and also maybe starting with shared accommodation. Especially if you're a student, this is typically normal in Europe that you will get a shared accommodation with other students. This is a great way to meet people while also keeping your expenses lower and having more success in securing housing. Now, the next country that is still really underrated and really on the horizon for international students that we are promoting a lot to our students at Beyond the States is Poland. Poland has super affordable tuition and cost of living, and it's slowly attracting a more international community. There's tons of programs in English and tons of medium to large cities in Poland to choose from to study in. It also has really friendly visa policies and solid student support. You also want to keep your eye on Poland, not only when it comes to study opportunities, but also when it comes to post-grad work opportunities, because Poland's economy is experiencing a robust growth in several key industries. And this is fueled by a combination of several key factors, including strong manufacturing, a thriving technology sector, and strategic infrastructure investments. So if you're interested in studying anything related to business or technology, Poland is really the place to be. And once again, it has a huge range of medium to large size cities, so tons of options to choose from, such as Krakow, Warsaw, Poznan, Gdansk, etc. Now, some of the cons with Poland, of course, similar to Germany, as I mentioned, are cold winters. So if you're really susceptible to the weather, then that's something to keep in mind. Now, the next thing about Poland, unfortunately, it does have a very conservative government. So if you are a POC student or an LGBTQ plus student, then this is something to keep in mind. Now, if you are in a larger city in Poland, there are thriving LGBTQ plus communities and resources and outlets in these cities, which is great, but it's just something to consider, especially if you're in a small town in Poland or in the countryside. It typically does run pretty conservative. Now, the fourth country I want to highlight that I feel like not enough people talk about is Belgium. I'm honestly unsure why more people aren't talking about Belgium as a country for international students, considering that it is literally the capital of the EU. And because Belgium is a super small country with two languages being spoken there, French and Dutch, it has super international and multilingual campuses. There are many English top bachelor's and master's programs and high academic standards, especially in research. If you're looking for a career in the nonprofit sector, or international relations, this is really the place to be. As I said, it is literally the home of the EU Parliament. And there's tons of internship opportunities for international students in these fields. Now, tuition is really going to range depending on the region you're studying in and the university and also the field, but you can typically expect to pay anywhere from 835 euros to up to 5,000 euros per year. So there are a wide variety of English taught programs depending on your budget. Now, moving on to cons, the fact that tuition varies so much can also be considered a con, especially when you're applying to various different programs and trying to decide what your budget is going to look like when you move. Another thing is high cost of living in university cities. So cities like Ghent, Leuven, or Brussels are going to run you higher when it comes to rent and things like that. And another thing too is language. As I mentioned, in Belgium, people speak Dutch and French, which is an added difficulty if you account for the fact that you're going to have to learn two foreign languages. Especially, for example, let's say you go to a university in the Dutch-speaking part of Belgium, but then once you finish your studies, you end up finding a job in the French-speaking part of Belgium. This can just be an added difficulty and complication, having to juggle between two, or actually, I guess, three different languages if you include English. Now, last last but not least, our fifth recommendation for international students looking to get their degree abroad in Europe may seem obvious, but it is Ireland. Ireland seems like the obvious choice because, of course, one of the major pros is that people speak English there, so it makes communication and also applying to programs a lot more easier as you have so many more options available to you. It's also part of the EU, which is great. It makes it much more easier to travel around as opposed to, for example, if you were studying in the UK. Ireland is super welcoming to international students and is also growing in the tech and business hub, similar to Poland, with strong post-grad work options. Also, the fact that you can speak English there is a great pro because it makes your chances of finding a job after graduation a lot more straightforward. People in Ireland are also super friendly and super welcoming towards international students. That's something I always hear about Ireland, is how friendly and open people are, and that is just a great environment for international students to be in. Now, tuition is going to be higher than it is in a lot of these EU countries that I mentioned previously. Your tuition is going to run anywhere from 9,850 euros to 55,000 euros per year. And of course, this depends on the program and the university. Still, once again, much cheaper even than in-state tuition options in the US. Now, let's dive into some of the cons for studying in Ireland. Now, as I already mentioned, tuition is going to be much more expensive than its other EU counterparts for international students. So that is something to consider if you are on a tighter budget. Another thing that's super unfortunate is the housing crisis in Ireland. Rent is sky high, which is really unfortunate for young people, and even a small room can cost you 1,200 euros per month in Dublin. So if you're considering studying in Ireland, I would start the search ahead of time, and I would also look for shared accommodation as a student in order to save you money. Another thing to consider with Ireland, considering that most international students don't have a car when they first move and they typically rely on public transport, is that public transport infrastructure is not going to be as strong outside of big cities. While you are going to have public transport in big cities such as Dublin, you might have a bit more difficulties getting around once you get outside the city, which you are most likely going to want to do because Ireland has such gorgeous nature. Now, if you are going to university in Ireland, you're most likely going to be in a city with public transport, of course, but once again, this is just something to keep in mind as you're planning your move there. Now, we dove into a lot of options and you're probably still considering and mulling through all of them, but if you need any help and additional clarification as to what country, city, or university may be the best fit for you, then I highly recommend checking out our website and services at Beyond the States. I'm going to drop a link in the description of this video to book a free 15-minute strategy call with our team at Beyond the States. And I highly suggest booking your strategy call as soon as possible because spots fill up fast. We hope you found this video helpful, and drop down in the comments below which country is calling your name. That's all for now, and we'll see you next time on our channel at Beyond the States.